Hello everyone and welcome to Hopok. Today we'll be reviewing Fury from the Deep. Now, if you've not seen this story, it's the Doctor, Jamie and Victoria land on an oil rig. Things are going weird. People are getting mysteriously ill. So, people are being ill. When asked why they're ill, there's no explanation. However, there's a lot of seaweed. The pumps are going wrong, and there is rhythmic heartbeat coming from the pipes. And, well, this is just a good story. It's a six-parter, and it features my favourite Doctor, Patrick Troughton. The chemistry in this is great. I'm obviously reviewing the animated version, which I have been putting off, and I finally saw it. It's good. It's really good. A lot of it comes down to the character work. Like, throughout the entire story, we occasionally get chimes from, we don't know this is Victoria's final story. She doesn't die. Spoilers, she just goes home. Well, she didn't go home, her whole thing is she had a family who was murdered by the Daleks. And in this story, she finds a new family, which is lovely. But throughout the entire story, we keep getting updates, I guess, from her, where she basically just talks about how unhappy she is with travelling. Not so much unhappy with Jamie the Doctor, more just unsatisfied because, as she puts it, everywhere we go, there's danger. Can't we just slow down and have a nice trip for once? And I love that. And it's very Tegan, because that's how Tegan leaves in Resurrection, which I will maybe eventually get to. But yeah. And I like how at the end of the story they ask her, do you want to leave? She says yes. And you're like, okay, we'll stay an extra day and we'll let you sleep on it. Which I think is a really nice touch, because most of the time you just get the Doctor and Companion being like, oh Doctor, I'm done. Oh, okay, bye. And that's the end. But I like how with Victoria they give her, okay, well, if this is what you want to do, we'll love it. And we'll let you sleep on it, and there we go. Other than that, though, this is a good story. I really like the design of the monsters, the seaweed monsters. This is both talking the animation and the original. Because the animation, while not perfect, is pretty good. A lot of people don't like the animation, which I get. There's literally a bit where they're in the telesnap. They are all huddled together, watching the seaweed emerge. But then in the animation, they're basically stood in a line, fucking T-posing. So it's a bit, in some cases. But otherwise, yeah, this is good. Another thing I like is the pacing. Because it's very... If you know how a Troughton story goes, this is basically how a Troughton story goes. Doctor comes in, no one trusts him, then eventually discovers things are going wrong. The Doctor keeps making wild accusations. Turns out every single one of his accusations are right. The people start to trust him. They beat the monster. That's basically how Troughton stories go. It's how this went, it's how the Ice Warriors goes, it's how Power of the Daleks goes, it's how... Not to say it's repetitive. It's just... they found a style and it works. It perfectly works. It's a shame this story's gone. Because a lot of this story I'd love to see in live action. I'd love to see the performances. Like the bit on the oil rig. I'd love to see that when they're flying around and they land. Obviously, it wouldn't have been that. Well, obviously it would be some setback, cause, obviously, because 60s budget. But I'd love to see the bit where they're flying around and they land on the oil rig, and they're like, okay, what now? Be very careful there, may I? I don't know what's here. And then they go, yeah. I'd love to see that, or the big seaweed monster that comes out, and yeah, a lot of this. This is a shame, isn't it? Why does this survive? No, it doesn't. Why is this lost when stories like fucking. Like stories like The Dominators, or stories like The Censorites, which they're fine on their own, but why? The Croton survives, but this doesn't? Come on, fellas. Come on. Come on. But yeah, I remember this. This is very much a story that I was very much hyped on for a long time, and then just the anticipation grew and grew because I heard it was such a gem. To anyone who saw the telesnaps, they said it was such a gem, such a gem. The only thing that prevented me from watching it is that I can't do the telesnaps. I just can't. The only story I've done the telesnaps was Galaxy 4, which is a Hartnell story about beautiful people versus like hideous monsters. Spoiler alert: the hideous monsters are the good guys. So yeah, it basically has like a classist sort of theme to it, which is it's not as bad as people were saying, but also we might be seeing that animated next year. So hey. But yeah, I just can't with the telesnaps. I've got through Galaxy 4 because it's quite short. I think it's only like 2 or 3 parts. But yeah. Plus it's the only oh wait, no, I tell a lie. Well, it's the only fully telesnap story I've watched. The only other telesnap story I've saw was Underwater Menace, but that's 50% surviving, 50% lost. And I guess you could say Web of Fear. That's one episode that's lost, and we're getting animated anyway. Even if the animation is shit. Yeah, I enjoyed this. I remember when they announced the animation, I literally phoned up my lovely partner who has been on the channel before, and I just started screaming, oh my god, Fury, we're finally getting Fury. And then I don't know, I just got sidelined and just put it off for about a year and a half. But I finally watched it, and it's good. I'd say it lives up to the hype. Also, I do know the story was adapted from an original BBC audio drama called The Slide, and it was originally supposed to be a Hartnell story. It was originally called, well, I think it was going to be called either The Slide for the Hartnell story, or it was going to be called Fury from the Deep. But the Hartnell story was a little different. It wasn't parasitic seaweed. It was sentient mud, which is whatever. I know. I should make a video on like some of the lost stories. That'd be cool. I don't mean the lost stories as in like the Ice Warriors or like the Crusade or like the Smugglers. I should make a video one day where I talk about story concepts that never were. Like the Hartnell story we were supposed to get a Hartnell story with the Nazis, but at the time, because remember this was 1962, the war was only like 15 years ago at this point, so it was a bit of a touchy subject. It's still a bit of a touchy subject, but especially at the time it would have been, a fucking minefield of a story, so they just uplifted it. There was another story they wanted to do where it was sort of like a sentient jungle, which would have been really fucking cool. I need to do that. That'd be cool as a video. I know some of these concepts that never were did eventually happen. Like, depending, I've already recorded it, but I don't know when it'll go out. Depends when I can be arsed to put these out. But I listened to Solitaire, and within that review, I mentioned we were supposed to get... No, in that story I mentioned this also. Toymaker was also another story called the Nightmare Fair, which was meant to be a Colin story, but got cancelled. There's also like Prison in Space, Mission to Magnus. It's just stuff like that all got cut. I'd love to make a video talking about all those lost concepts. But anyway, yeah. Oh, and also, man, I really get sidetracked in reviews, don't I? But yeah, this slide is also, fun fact, also not just a BBC production that was meant to be a Doctor Who production until it was. It also features one Roger Delgado, who played the Master during Pertwee's era. So that's kind of nice. It is included on the DVD, which I own twice. Because I own the Steelbook and the regular DVD. I own the Steelbook because, of course. And I own the DVD because I'm annoying like that. If I'm gonna buy... I like to have a complete collection. Therefore, I wouldn't have DVDs in a Steelbook. I need to get the Steelbook because, fancy. And the DVD because then it fits into my collection nicely. But I usually buy the Steelbook first and then buy the DVD at a later date. Because, yeah. But yeah. This is a good story. I need to watch the documentary on it. I was gonna watch it last night, but after watching Fury, I was absolutely shattered, so I just left it. But yeah. This is a really good story. Have you seen it? What do you think? Answer in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and have a good week. Bye.